Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Filipa and I am an identity and transformational coach. Let your spirit rise. I am more than happy to welcome you here where we're going to speak about personal development, spirituality and how to actually experience the transformation that we all want. Today I want to speak about something that I experienced quite often before and something that I still see in a lot of my clients. We live in a world where information is quite easy to reach. So you've probably read a lot of books, you have watched plenty of YouTube videos, and you have probably even signed up for different courses related to personal development and transformation. And if you don't notice, this can turn into a form of an addiction. You know, you keep on reaching for new knowledge over and over again, and you happen to jump from one course to another, from one book to another, and yet you still don't see the transformation in your life. And this is something that is very familiar to me because personal growth is not something that just appeared in my life all of a sudden. I have always been interested in it. I think I started with manifestation at the age of 8 or 9 or something like this. So it has been an ongoing process. However, what I saw throughout the years is that I kept on reading different books, and I tried manifestation of course as well, but nothing really changed in me or outside of me. So everything remained the same. And this was an ongoing process until the year of 2020. And there is actually only one thing that I did differently in this year. I actually started to put into practice everything that I was reading. So I remember very vividly the moment when I actually promised myself that I'm going to start with just one new habit. At this point, I was reading a book about meditation. And so I promised myself that I'm going to put into practice every little thing that I'm reading throughout the book. And after this, I'm going to move forward with the next chapter or the next book. What I did is that I started a little experiment with myself and I recorded the first date on which I actually started practicing the meditation, which was about visualization and creating your new reality. At this point, I didn't really understand how manifestation works in depth. I knew the surface level. I just wanted to see what's gonna happen and if things are gonna actually change. What I did was that every single day I booked 2 hours for myself. During this time, I was doing different practices, mainly meditation. Of course, not for the 2 full hours, because in the beginning when you start learning how to practice, how to do it, you cannot remain concentrated for that long. However, I just booked the whole space so that I can give enough time for myself to transform this state of chaos and of, thinking about everything that happened throughout the day into a state of peace and calm, because this takes time. It doesn't happen like this, Most people start meditating from they expect that just by sitting down and closing their eyes it's just gonna happen, but it doesn't happen like this, of course, it takes time. So this is why I booked these 2 hours and I did this for a whole month. I was not planning to stop at any point. I was just trying to see how long it will take and if anything is gonna actually change. Keep in mind that this was 6 years ago. So at this point, I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. So if I do the same thing now, I would do it in a completely different way. But at that point, I was visualizing my dream reality. So I just wanted to live in a different country. I wanted to live in a different apartment. I wanted just to have, other things around me. What happened was that just 1 month after I started this practice, things started to change. A lot of things that were not under my control started to fall apart. Like my relationship ended. I didn't get the job that I wanted. COVID happened, so I was not able to go to Spain, which was my initial plan. I had to go back to my home country, Bulgaria. I had to, follow this path. But what was most important for me during this whole path of change was that I actually understood that even though things are falling apart and it looks really chaotic at the moment, I knew that all the practices that I was doing every single day were actually creating this change. And this falling apart of different aspects of my life was the only way that I can get to the reality that I wanted. And of course, this whole thing brought a lot of stress. However, knowing it, knowing the process, I was able to get back to a place of trusting the whole process that I was already in. So before I started this experiment, I used to be completely different. I was more prone to act in an aggressive way. I was triggered all the time. I was unhappy. I, of course, had moments of being depressed. It was not like clinical depression, but I was extremely unhappy and a complete victim to all of the circumstances that were around me. And here we have to go through a very key aspect of transformation. This is the fact that your whole identity, which is a combination of your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, habits, actually creates, of course, identity, so the person that you are, creates the whole reality that you live in. So no matter what change you want to produce in your life, you have to keep in mind that this change in the outer environment is going to require a change in the inner environment, so in your personality. And there's actually no magic here, because the person that you are, which, as I said, is a combination of your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, habits, is going to make the decisions in your life based on the combination of this, you know? So let's say that you are a person who's not confident. This means that you have these feelings of not being able to accomplish certain things, not being able to deal with life or with problems, and you just don't like the way you look. If this is true, this means that for sure you have thoughts that resonate to these feelings. Thoughts like, oh wow, this is so hard, I cannot do this, I don't know what to do in this situation, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to make it, look at her, she's so pretty, and I'm so ugly, I cannot do this and that, and whatever. So these feelings produce these emotions, and if you have this combination of the feelings and the emotions, this means that you are going to have the behavior that is going to be resonating with the combination of the feelings and emotions. So let's say that you have a job that you don't like and you want to change it, and at the same time you receive this opportunity for a new job in a new company. But if you are unaware of the fact that you are not confident, then you are most probably not even gonna take the new position, because fear is going to be so powerful that it's not going to allow you to actually take the opportunity. Because even when this opportunity comes, it is very likely that you are going to think, wow, this is going to be so hard. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I don't know if I'm going to like the team, or if they're going to like me. And it's possible that you don't even take the opportunity to go to an interview. So this is an example of how your thoughts, emotions, and emotions produce a certain behavior that is going to lead you to this reality that you live in right now. Now let's speak about the steps that you actually can take in your daily life so that you can actually live in a different reality and produce change. Step number 1 is observation. You cannot produce any form of change until you actually understand how your current personality thinks, feels, behaves, and what her or his habits are. You need to understand what triggers you, how you react to certain situations, what are you most prone to, what are your current thoughts and emotions, how do you behave with people, everything. So you need to actually get to know yourself. And what happens very often is that clients come to me and they say, well, I already know everything, I know how I work. But when they go through a week or two of just observing themselves, they see so many things that they never ever knew that they actually do. And this is why this is a very important step that you must not skip. Step number 2 is to define the change that you want to work on right now. What happens very often is that people want to change everything and they want to start with all aspects in their life. But this can never work, because this is, if you put a goal that is not possible to be accomplished because it's too much, it's too broad, it's too big, then you are going to end up being disappointed in yourself, and you're going to feel even worse than when you started. Because what will happen is that you are actually going to try something which is not possible to be accomplished from the beginning, but you're not going to know this, and then you're not going to actually accomplish it, and then you're going to feel disappointed and worse than before. So it's very important to actually decide what is the change that you want to work on right now. So after you have decided what you want to focus on, and then you have decided what you want to put into practice, so what is the new behavior that you want to actually learn, the third step is to find situations in your daily life where you can actually put this into practice. Once you decide what you want to focus on, life is going to give you more and more opportunities for it. And most importantly, you being focused on it are going to start noticing more and more situations where you can actually behave in a new way. And this is where the most difficult part in the process comes, because your whole body is going to want to keep you in the old behavioral patterns. And this is the moment to actually be aware, become aware of the fact that you are in a situation where you want to or can behave in a different way. And no matter how hard it is in this specific moment, it is up to you to make the new choice, to make the new decision and behave in a new way, no matter what aspect in your life you have decided to work on. The truth is that it is very difficult only in the beginning. And you're gonna notice that after the first few situations where you actually managed to put into practice the new behavior, it's going to become easier. Because what is happening is that you are creating new neural networks with each new step that you take in your life, with each new decision. And in the beginning, it is, of course, very difficult for you to make something new because there is no neural pathway. However, after a few times of practicing, then you're going to see that it becomes easier and easier. Going back to the experiment that I told you about, one of my goals was to not react in an aggressive way when I was triggered with my boyfriend at the time. So in the morning during my meditation, I was just practicing on how to react when we have a difficult situation. And of course, afterwards, throughout the day, there were a lot of triggers, and I was noticing every little situation during which I could actually practice the new behavior that I wanted to achieve. As I mentioned in the beginning, it felt impossible to react in a different way because my body was filled with the emotions that I was feeling over and over again every time that we had a difficult situation. But after a while, I actually really noticed that it becomes just easier. And you must know something very important. There are going to be situations where you're going to notice the opportunity to behave in a different way, and you are going to be able to do it. There are going to be other situations where you are going to notice that this is a situation that you can practice in, but you're not going to have the capacity, and you're just going to act in the same old way, in the same old pattern, and you're going to feel in the same old, you're just going to end up in the same situation. This is okay, and it is a part of the process. There are going to be other situations where you're not even going to notice, and you're just going to end up feeling and acting in the same way, and you're gonna notice after a few hours maybe. And this is also fine. So just know that this is a part of the process. As long as you notice most of the situations, and let's say you behave in the new way most of the time, or at least more than 50% of the time, then it's good enough. Because we expect from ourselves that we are going to be able to just behave in a new way from one day to the other and everything's going to change, but it doesn't happen that way. It's like it takes time. This is a process. So be kind to yourself, be gentle, but at the same time be, involved in the whole process. And the most beautiful part of this whole process is that once you see the changes that you have produced within you, and of course the outer reality is going to reflect that, you are going to fall in love with the process. And from there on, every time that you want to produce a certain change in yourself, it's going to become easier because you're going to know the process, you're going to know all the difficult parts of the process, and you're going to be more prepared for them, and it's just going to get easier. If you found something interesting and helpful in this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.